Hi, everybody. I'm just admitting everyone to the meeting right now. Hi, everybody. Hi. Just admitting everyone to the meeting right now.
Bella, you want to? Bella wants to join. New member.
Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Ann.
We'll just, oh, here I see Alderman Weezahan and Allison. Hi, Allison. Hi, Fritz. All right, it looks like everyone is here. John Steinhubel will probably be joining us here shortly. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Parks and Trails Commission meeting for Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. We'll go ahead and I'll call the roll. So we have Meg Johnson, Cassie
Here.
Harold, Steve Korbecki, Stephanie Peterson, Alderman Fritz Weezahan, Jack Dunning, Adam Baer, and Allison Barclay. Okay. So may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of November 30th?
Motion to approve the minutes of November 30th meeting.
I second.
All in favor? Signify by
Aye.
saying aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. The next item on our agenda is commission member park reports. Would someone like to make a report about one of the parks? Anything? It's been cold outside, right?
I ran through three
And,
of them on Saturday and they look great.
Good deal. Okay.
And I was
Someone
going to
else
ask
was
about Drace Park, if the placards made it up. I saw that they were starting to do something, but I haven't been back to see if it was completed. The placards for the log cabins.
Right. Yes. I did not see them installed just yet. So unless they went up today, I haven't seen
Okay.
them up yet. But yes, they are being installed. So,
I saw some markers, but nothing there yet. It looked like they had marked off where they were going to put them.
that's right. Yep. So we checked that, and they should be going up here. Oh, this week, I would expect. Yeah. Jack, did you have something? I can take you off mute. Hold on just a minute, Jack. I can't quite hear you. So let's,
Can he not take himself off, Ann?
there we go.
Okay,
You're set, Jack. Go ahead.
all right. I was there this afternoon and the park looks in good shape for the time of year that it is. Several people walking dogs. And the maintenance guy was out there cleaning barrels and whatnot. And had a nice chat. Overall, it's in very good shape.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 1 of unfinished business. Recent programs and events. We did have breakfast with Santa on December 5th. Seems like a long time ago already, but I just wanted to make sure to thank Steve Korbecki and Mark Johnson, and then also Alderman Barbara Ann Hughes for volunteering for the event. And if Steve, if you want to say something, it was really, I will say from the feedback I received from residents, people were very happy to have an outdoor, socially distanced opportunity to see Santa. So maybe Cassie, you can give us your feedback also as a participant of the event, how it was in your household. Either of you, if you want to say something, Steve.
I first of all, it wasn't breakfast. Other than that,
Did I say breakfast? I
you said
cannot get it out
breakfast.
of photos.
I can't even, I wish I could say it was cocktails for Santa Claus, but I don't think we can say that. But it worked. I thought it worked great. The people that came seemed to enjoy it. We had plenty of social distancing. The elf got them very comfortable and warmed up. And the kids, I think they were all trying to trick Santa Claus, though. I'm telling you, somebody asked me to name the reindeer. I could do it, but that's only because I watched a movie the night before. So, but it was fun.
Yeah, Steve made a great Santa Claus. I think, yeah, it took me a while to figure out who he was. He was a great Santa Claus, and the way it was set up, where he was in the white pickup truck and the kids were down below, it was definitely socially distanced and felt very safe. And it was a good opportunity for people to not have to go into malls or those type of environments to get, the picture with Santa this year. So I thought it was great.
Great. So hopefully we won't have to do the same type of event next year. But maybe we will do something at Town Square. It was fun to be outside under the lights in the crisp winter air. So we can kind of keep that in mind for next year too. Under item number 1B, we have some events coming up, or just some programs, Project Unplugged programs coming up with vision boards, dream analysis, and combating physician burnout, which has been the program ongoing with Missouri Baptist. And then also, I sent you in the most recent email today some photos of the Depth of Form sculpture that was installed last week in front of Longview. So if you haven't seen it, take a drive by. It's where the Discovery sculpture was previously. So with art, some people will probably love it and some people will probably not. So it's always nice to get feedback one way or the other, just to pass on to the Community Art and Culture Commission. Does anybody have any comment on it?
I think it turned out nice. I think it's a nice addition that, and it's a neat program that you found for that we can participate in and without a full-time commitment for it, that allows us to have a little variety and have it for a couple of years and then see if there's another option. And I think it's a neat program that you got us involved with.
Oh, let's see here. Are you not able to take yourself off mute?
Who are you
Okay,
talking
here,
to?
go ahead.
Okay,
Oh.
I am. I looked at it. I'm not sure I love it, but it was hard to see. I know that was a perfect place because that's where that horse which was fantastic, and it was bigger. But I think it's kind of hard to see. You kind of are walking, on the path, but maybe that's the best place for it. But it's kind of too, I wish it was closer to a path or the street or something. But it is a perfect place. It's concrete and everything.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, let's see. Oh, one item, if I may just jump, let's see here, where are we? Oh, some of these were listed twice on the agenda. It's because the 1B items are the previous programs. And then the under unfinished business, the item number 2 are the upcoming programs. Some of them are just ongoing. So I would just like to point out that we will have upcoming, some that I haven't mentioned yet, fireside yoga class. Painting parties will continue, which we've been having those throughout the summer, through the fall. And then we have some Principia Community Service Days coming up. And the Principia students, they do service projects in the park each year. Their first one will be this coming Friday, and they're going to do sidewalk chalk positive messages throughout each of the parks. So we're going to start at Longview and then assess how long it takes 17 or 18 students to, write their messages, and then we'll proceed through each of the parks. Just so that you have a heads up and know that that is intentional and planned. They'll be doing that on Friday morning.
Are you including Town Square, Ann?
Yes, I should have said the parks and Town Square. Yeah, so they're going to do Longview first and Town Square second, because those may both happen on Friday. We're just not quite sure how fast they sidewalk chalk. We don't know how long it will take. And then Drace and Preservation the following week if the weather holds out. Item number 3 is the budget, just sort of an update. We have talked about Fire and Ice as part of the budget process, and Fire and Ice is included in the 2021 budget, fully budgeted. And we do plan to have it in the fall, as you all recommended at the last meeting, that it be part of the fall festival event. And that will give us, hopefully a reasonable amount of planning and, enough time to adjust to whatever requirements we may or may not be under with St. Louis County for carrying out an event. So that's good news for everyone who's ready for a party. All right, shall we move on to new business?
And
I feel like I'm doing all the talking tonight.
do you have an update on the ice rink, or is that going to be a new business?
It isn't in new business just yet. It's in the process. So yes, that is
You're
going.
still investigating?
It's going forward to the Board of Aldermen. And it doesn't require any, sort of legislation, but they will be the final body to sign off on it. But everything so far has been smooth sailing as far as legal and insurance. So it's as long as the board is interested in seeing that happen, I expect that if the water freezes, then it will happen. We'll be ready. Okay, so new business, priority setting for 2021. I sent everybody the spreadsheet from 19 to 20, just so that you'd have a sense of, especially some people who are new, of what we have done in the past. And then also what was completed and what wasn't. Obviously, we had a very unusual year, but it will give you, Cassie especially, just kind of a sense of how we do the rating And so we intend each year to accomplish all of the number ones, and then go from there. So sometimes we get all of the number twos, sometimes it's kind of a mix there. So what I would like you all to do is to just review that list. Let me know if you have input that you definitely would like to see for the upcoming year so that I can include it when I send out the survey. So if you remember, we sort of did a survey and then everybody could rank each item, and I just take all of that data and compile it, give it back to you. We still have a chance to review it. It's definitely a living document. So it's, not something that's set in stone, but it is our planning document for the year. And it's tied to our budget. So we sort of know what we're doing for the full year.
So Ann, when you send this out to do the survey, are you going to include the things that were on last year's but were not accomplished because of COVID?
Yes,
Or what are you
good question. So that's my plan, is all of the events that we talked about having for this past spring, summer, fall. A lot of them were new for Town Square, like the concert series, and some of those Town Square activities will be on the survey for everyone to rate. So everything that's on that list, unless it's something that's been accomplished that doesn't
Right.
need to be accomplished again, like a trail, then it will be on the list. So I would say anything in addition to that list. And you don't need to tell me tonight. If you'd like to email me this week, that would be great. And I'll just make sure that it's included. It's definitely better to have as much on the list initially. There's always a place for comments, but then everyone else doesn't get to vote on your comments during the process.
And the one we talked about previously that we might want to add on here is, some type of natural play features for Town Center.
Yes.
I know that was kind of batted around, and maybe a yes, maybe a no, but probably worthwhile to put it on the list.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And then can you bring me up to speed on the playground planning for the grant application? I didn't really hear the background on what the grant related to, if we have to put some money up front and there's a grant, or if the grant covers the deterioration of any of the playgrounds. I didn't hear the whole summary of what that was about last time. So if you're able to kind of inform me about that, I think that would be really helpful.
Sure. So this year, the part of the process that we're engaging in is the planning of the project. And so that will include a contractor who will do the public input process, generate 3 options for the community to give feedback on. And then we would use that document to apply for a construction grant. So essentially this year we do the planning, we use that planning document to apply for the grant, and then we go through the grant process. And so as far as reimbursables, the planning grant is not a reimbursable. So we have budgeted for that contract in 2021. And then the grant itself, it's a 90-10 grant for most categories. I usually just say it's an 80-20 grant because there's, landscaping is at 50%, and it usually shakes out to be an 80-20 grant overall. And so that's through the Municipal Park Grant Commission of St. Louis County.
And is it new features, or does it apply to deterioration of current playground features, or is it specific to something at the park, or is it anything playground wise at the park?
The grant itself does not cover any sort of maintenance. So it covers new recreational opportunities only. And so it can be a direct replace, or it can be new it can be a completely new playground. Or
Okay.
new features, if you don't
So-
want to even use the word playground, it can be.
Okay, so, something I noticed at Drace, you have that really nice rubberized surface around the playground area, but it's deteriorating. It's starting to peel away on the top. So I was just curious if, we could use the grant for, a new surface area, instead of waiting to see the other one just continue to deteriorate over time.
Yeah, that's a great question. So 2 things on that item. One, we will be patching all of the surfaces in the parks, just because we still are, at least a year and a half out from the playground project being awarded. So we have the patch. It's temperature contingent. So when we get a couple of nice days, you'll start seeing those patches go down. And then secondly, the grant does cover the poured in place surface, or whatever surface we would use. It definitely covers that. And part of the reasons that we need to replace the playgrounds are those poured in place surfaces. They have a lifespan where they, meet the fall test. And so we are pushing that lifespan. We are at its expiration point now.
And Ann, just to follow up
Okay.
on Cassie's question, I'm assuming we didn't do it because of budget constraints this year, because of COVID, right? We didn't do the planning or try to get the planning piece done.
Well, we actually hadn't closed out the Mason Trail project yet. And so you can't apply for, I'm sorry, I'm actually thinking of something else. So yes, so that's right. So the 15,000 for the planning was frozen for this year.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it is in budget for next year at
It
this
is.
point. Yeah.
Yes.
And I have a similar question about number 29, the fishing pond town square it says that it was costs associated with testing and treating considered non-essential. Is that because of COVID, or is that just always?
Because of COVID.
So will that go back? That'll go back on the list, I guess.
And it is not in the budget for 2021.
So probably not going to see it, or
In 2022, I mean, it's really, our budget is really
tight,
very pared down for this
Yeah.
year, of course, as it should
I'm
be.
sure. Right.
And so anything that was considered non-essential or non-revenue generating is really stripped out. And so, it's a hard one to justify unless somehow we would charge for fishing to recover the cost, So I think it should still stay on the list. I think it's still a good opportunity.
Okay.
So Ann, I have an idea on that one. I'm going to send Mark Johnson down to Rockbridge and bring some trout back and drop them in there.
They won't
see if they-
live.
We'll see. They might, you don't know.
Oh, well, fair enough. If they show up, I won't ask any questions. Is
Right.
that-
Or maybe it should be catfish, right?
When they start floating,
Maybe we-
will Mark come get them.
Right, no. The goals
Maybe
again.
we can pair it back to frog gigging this year. We can just, get some frogs out there for this year and go for fish next year.
That's right. We do have plenty of frogs.
Just in general, on Town Square, I would love to come up with some revenue neutral ideas to get more traffic to Town Square. It's just, and we've discussed before that it's just sitting there until the restaurant comes. It's not really a destination. So I've been sitting here kind of brainstorming, and we already have the music in the park on here, if we can make that a revenue generator. But anything else, like the ice skating, is just fabulous. It'll get people in the habit of going there a little bit.
I had thought of, would we be able to sustain like an art show? I obviously not like Clayton, but it's with a circle and everything. You think, would that cost us money? Could we be a cool place?
Yeah, it was one of the events that we had planned, if you remember last year, for the final concert of the concert series was going to be art show and concert. And so the Community Arts and Culture Commission is they're doing this same thing and kind of planning for the whole year right now. And so I would anticipate that we would have one of the concerts. Essentially, we're looking to have each concert kind of have a theme. And so, July we'll do a 4th of July kind of theme, and so on, that we would have hopefully September maybe would be a good time for an art component to the concert series. It helps us consolidate some costs as far as, the shuttle service and police presence and, some of those expenses that come along with events and sort of additional attraction. Maybe some people aren't there for the concert, but they're there for the art festival features. So yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I think we will likely have an art component that will not be expensive. It would be very, very cost efficient, if not a revenue generator, if we could get some sponsorships to go along with it.
Is there any information on the potential restaurant? Probably
that
not
I
with
have.
COVID, right? Yeah.
Not that I have. Okay, let's see here. And then under new business, item number 2, we have a possible winter restaurant event that I know Fritz has been kind of working on. Do you want to speak to that a little bit, Fritz?
Yeah, thank you. I was just, we were talking, and, obviously the restaurants have taken a pretty big hit from COVID. And in the past, there was a lot of conversation about having a food truck event at Town Square. So I started thinking, would it be possible to still have some sort of a restaurant style, to-go event, minimal, if any, seating, but really, one, as someone mentioned, to bring more activity to Town Square while we're waiting for a restaurant and for more businesses, but 2, to also really promote the restaurants more than anything, that it would be a low-cost event that we would just encourage restaurants to come to really promote, however they feel would be fit. If it was one item or a few items that was designed that was a grab and go, have music pumped in, whatever we can do to kind of have as much of an event as we can safely, and really promote and really help out the restaurants that are here. So I just kind of had that idea. There was some interest by other board members and by by some restaurants that have been impacted. One comment was that they're literally willing to do anything they can to generate any additional revenue at all. So I think I think that there's restaurants that are willing to do it, and I thought we could give it a shot.
Hey, Fritz, on that.
So are you thinking?
Go ahead, Cassie.
Go ahead, Steve.
No,
Are you
go.
thinking the restaurants would have tables around the circle? How would that work? So everybody would get a table. The local restaurants in Town and Country could all have an opportunity to have their own table and to have kind of prepackaged meals? Or are you thinking more trucks, or what are you thinking?
I know there's a couple restaurants here in town that do have food trucks, and there's, but primarily just that they would provide their own tents and tables if they need, whatever they would need, that we would really just be providing the event and the opportunity and try to draw as big of a, I hate to say crowd, but draw as big of a crowd as we can, you know, kind of throughout the day of just having people come and go. Again, it's kind of quickly, it's not the traditional, you know, fire and ice festival where there's a big tent with tables and everything like that for everybody to sit and have their meal there, but it'd be something to kind of grab it and go type style. You know, kind of like a taste of town and country.
Just a thought, Fritz, on that. I know I think it's a great idea if we can do it. I would think the weekends would be tough because they're going to try to get people into their stay busy during the weekends. Could we do it during the weeknight? And maybe do a couple, you know, maybe we wait till it's March or the weather's a little bit better. And on Wednesday nights, for instance, you have 2 restaurants one Wednesday and another 2 restaurants the next Wednesday or something. So just thinking out of the box a little bit.
I think that's a great idea. I think most town and country residents, you know, we're willing to spend whatever to try to support the local restaurants. Otherwise, they're not going to be around. And having something like that was promoted like once a week, every Wednesday, you go to Town Square. I like that.
You might want to include the local microbrewery.
Oh,
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think
He's
that'd be a
been
good
to a
idea.
couple other events and he's done well there.
Yeah.
He does.
Okay.
He has sold out a few times now.
That's because of Stephanie and her husband. That's why.
She's retired.
I just mean to go. I don't mean to drink it all, Stephanie.
Maybe I can get my husband to bring up some of his beer. He's got like 6 kinds right now.
Hmm. Okay.
That was kind of the whole idea of it, but yeah, we'll keep pursuing it and see what we can put together.
Great.
Great.
Beth, I know you just joined us recently. We have gone through a few items, well, the whole agenda basically here. But I did want to just note that I did send out the 2019-2020 list. So we'll get that going. If you have any ideas that you want included on it, send them to me this week if they're not already on there. And then I'll send out the survey to get everybody's input and get going from there. Okay. Does anybody have anything else for the good of the group? We've really flown through our agenda tonight. All right.
And actually, I got a quick question. Hopefully,
Sure.
kind of going back to the playground grant. I mean, do you feel confident in the the current environment financially that we'd still be awarded it? Obviously, depending on what we apply for, but that it's. I mean, do you still feel confident with the whole grant system with the county?
It will still be funded, so it is a sales tax based grant. So certainly it will see a decrease in revenue as everyone is. But what they have done in the past, when there have been down revenue years, it's just a lesser grant. And so some projects have to be phased over 1, 2, 3 years. As where years where it's fully funded, you might be able to accomplish the same project in 1 year. But yes, I do anticipate that there will be a level of funding, I would say, at least for one playground for sure. I would anticipate that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in addition, what the Grant Commission has done also in the past, they determine the funding amount, and based on that, there may either just be more cities award, more projects awarded. So let's say if they determine the threshold is 150,000 instead of 400,000 so that they can fund approximately the same number of projects. That's what they've done in the past is try to adjust the grant amount based on previous projects and previous awards, and then the number of cities who have been funded to sort of, help with the city's planning processes also. So, they realize that we are counting on being able to replace our playground. So they may need to be phased, but there will still be funding.
And then
And
what-
when they replace, I'm sorry, go ahead, Fritz. Go ahead.
oh, you're fine. Well, I was just gonna say, is there and what happens with the equipment when it's afterwards? Is there a value, maybe not even financially, but can it get reused anywhere or?
You typically can donate playground equipment, and the playground companies aid in that process. So they tend to have projects that are, donation-based projects that they will take your equipment to install somewhere.
Okay.
If it's deemed safe, or, they do some refurbishing as well.
So I was just going to state a concern that if it's grant-based and we don't know the time frame for funding by the county, if they remove the equipment and they resurface an area and then they don't have enough money to do the equipment until the next year, is there ever a time where you have playgrounds that have been deconstructed and are under progress for 2 to 3 years?
No, we wouldn't remove it until the project is funded, and it will all be one project. So we would not
Okay.
remove the playgrounds and then let a pad sit there unfunded, for example. That's a good question.
Okay,
We
thanks.
definitely don't want that scenario.
And one more, as long as we're on this topic. Sorry, Jack, I didn't see your hand come up fast enough. Would we consider town square in that planning process or not?
Yeah, we talked about that. And I think that this is the time to just include town square in the planning. Then this commission can recommend to the board, what we get back from the public process. And so, there will likely be financial concerns. And I think, Steve, you brought up at the last meeting that we do want to make sure that we're prioritizing playgrounds that have been waiting to get funded for a while now over something new at Town Square.
Yeah, but if we're in a planning process, it would be good to include it.
That's right.
It may
That's
be the
right.
fourth one we do if we get the money, but
Yes.
okay.
Yep. Jack, you're up.
Thank you. This idea about restaurants, why not designate a night like a Wednesday or a Thursday and make it restaurant night and have some of these local restaurants kind of compete? In other words, they could show their winners, their menus, their specialties, whatever it might be, which would generate people coming out to Town Square, but would also increase the awareness, I think, of those restaurants within the same community. Just a thought on expanding that idea about Town Square and restaurants.
Yeah, good. I think that's,
That way it's their expense as opposed to ours, but it also generates a given night for residents to come to what could be known as restaurant night, restaurant evening, whatever it is. Just a thought.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
good idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. We have our next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, February 16th at 6:30. So that's the day after President's Day, which is our normal meeting date. And we'll be on Zoom.
Could, Anne, could we do a vote on whether this time works for everyone? Like
Sure.
maybe it's anonymous. Just see what the preferred time would be.
Yes. Do you want me to send out a survey?
Or everyone could just email you at what the preferred time.
Yeah, sure. That's
Okay.
fine. If you want to just email me and let me know if this works, if you prefer a little earlier, a little later, a different night, if that needs to be, we could do that. Sure.
I know we had some constraints earlier, but now with COVID and people working from home, I'm not working from home,
Uh-huh.
but a lot of people are, there might be better. I'm just one person. I prefer it earlier because I get home, there's not quite enough time to eat dinner, and then it's just, everything gets really later. I'd rather have it right when I get home versus later, but everyone has different issues. I can see Fritz is still at the office. Are you, Fritz?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so are we looking at, say, 5:30, 6, or 6:30? Maybe those are our,
I think those are three good possibilities.
I have the reverse issue where I would prefer later, but I mean, pick up with school. Now it's like virtual and every day is different. And then I don't know, kids' activities, later is better for me, but I'll figure it out.
I'm just old. I'm exhausted. I leave.
No, I get
my office. At
I am too.
7:30.
I'm ready for bed at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm too tired at this.
Why don't you add 7 also, Ann? So 5:36, 6:37.
okay.
Sure. Yeah, let
That's
everyone.
that's no better. What do you want to do? 9 o'clock at night?
No, I want to do earlier. I want to do earlier.
No, Allison, you're in bed at 9 o'clock. I know that already.
I am in bed at 9 o'clock.
Okay, send
Well,
me
for
this
35
week.
years. I'm tired.
Send me what time works best for you. And even if you have, if none of those make any big difference one way or the other,
Sure.
let me know. And we'll do the best we can. We could even rotate months if we wanted to do that. We could do a month at 5:30 and a month at 6:30. As long as everybody shows up at the right time. Yeah, just let me know. That would be
Thanks.
fine. Okay. Shall we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? You want to stay on?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you for a great meeting, and we'll see everybody next month.
All right, get your shots whenever you can.
Bye.
That's right.
Wish we-
Take care.
wish we